Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, I'm gonna close my curtain. There we go, and turn on my light. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna wait just a couple minutes to get started this morning for a few people to hop on. Make sure that I'm live on our page here. I hope everybody's enjoying the sunshine this morning. I know I am. Let's see. Page. Oh, someone's watching. Good morning. Just taking a couple minutes quickly, make sure I'm on. Okay, good. I'm on the Facebook page. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. My name is Tricia Roberts, and on the behalf of the Plymouth Arts Center, welcome to Live Art Wednesdays. Today's projects are all based around puppets. We've got one that's really simple, one that's more complicated, and one that's kind of in the middle. This is a great activity if you have kids to introduce puppet making into like reading time or sing-along time too. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's projects. There is opportunity too, if you don't have kids, to we're working on a marionette at the end. Okay, so that one's a little bit tricky. So that one you can go crazy with and use different types of materials around your home. We'll just kind of talk about the basics of stringing it together and how to work it towards the end. So before I get started this morning, I just want to give you guys a heads up of a few other things that are happening on Facebook Live, on Instagram Live, and just ways to like continue to get connected with our community. So we have Live Art Wednesdays here. Bookworm Gardens is celebrating their 10th year, and Kate Tinker is doing Tinkering Tuesdays. And I think that's at 1 p.m. But anyways, every Tuesday she's showing you another project too. So if you're really enjoying these live videos, head over, see her. We have our libraries. So Plymouth Library I know is doing it. Sheboygan's Mead Public Library is doing it. They have some of their employees coming on and reading. They're librarians, I should say, coming on and reading stories. So that's great. You know, I live in Sheboygan, so my kids and I go to story time on Mondays, so we've really been missing that, and it's fun to see Miss Susan and Ducky read us stories. So that's something you should check out. Mary Starnicki, our children's art teacher, a resident teacher at the PAC, she's doing her daily doodles, and if you are a huge fan of Mary like I am, you love her art, and so just seeing her examples are super inspiring to me too. So head over, follow Mary's page. She's got her daily doodles. She'll show you step by step and give you some fun ways to get some more art incorporated into your day, and that's really fun too. Adults and kids can do it. I mean, I doodle all the time with her too. So yeah, so those are some of the things that we have like every week that are weekly things or daily things online on Facebook. The PAC is going to bring a few classes this summer, no matter, I want to say like rain or shine, but it's more like in person or virtual. Alexis Harden is bringing back a wreath class. So we're going to make kits that you will get delivered to you if you choose, if you live in the Sheboygan County, or if you would like to come pick it up, we'll have a specific like contactless pickup time. She'll have everything in your kit for a spring wreath. And we're working on getting those details sorted out today. So hopefully that information will be up to you soon. So that's coming up. That'll be June 3rd. From 6 to 8, she'll do a live virtual class. So that one we're planning completely virtual. So no matter what, we're ready to go. Mary Starnicki is bringing back summer camp. That's really exciting. And again, if we can meet in person, awesome. If we can't, we're going to make it completely virtual. We'll do the same thing for those kids. Make them a pack of what they need for the week and then get them to them. Either I'll drive around in my car and deliver them to your door if you live in Sheboygan County, obviously. Otherwise, we could probably ship it to you too if we have enough notice. But you can also come pick that up from the PAC, and there'll be details about that. And then with Mill Street coming up, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll also be doing a choreography camp, so our Mastering Mill Street program. And again, we'll make sure that that can either be done in person, hopefully, but if not, we'll make that a virtual class as well. So every class that you're going to see promoted by the PAC will hopefully have the option, no matter which way we are or like how many people can get together, that we can do it in person, but if that's not allowed yet, then we'll have it available virtual, so you don't have to wait for all those cancellations. Okay, and that's my little for your information this morning. It's really nice to see a bunch of people watching today. Again, we're working on puppets, so I'm going to preview our first one. This one is an origami finger puppet, and Hugh was asking me to make a lion, and I'm not that creative, so maybe I'll get there. But I'm going to show you how to make two different ones. We've got this little like animal, or a little human. Okay, and so these are little origami finger puppets that we're going to get started with today. This is a great activity if you have littles, even big, you know, if you have older siblings in your family too, they could make them, and then when they're reading to their siblings, maybe their younger siblings, the younger siblings can play with a puppet, or they can like interact with the puppets too. So I think this is a really fun one. Maybe songs, maybe books, you know, whatever you want to do, you can make your puppets kind of characters of your book or your song. So what you're going to want to do is start off by getting a square piece of paper. This is a little folded. I pulled this out of my scrapbooking box. I did construction paper for this guy, and you can see that he's kind of bent weird and his ears don't stay down. And then I did a thicker paper for this one, and that's good too, but he's got really sharp edges. So I'm going to try a thinner paper this time and see kind of how that turns out. So my square is 5 by 5. This little guy is 4 by 4. This guy was like 5 by 5. So I would say like you can go from 5 by 5 up to a 6 by 6 if you want to. I really wouldn't go smaller than a 4 by 4, just because it gets small and it gets kind of hard to fold and things like that. Okay, so once you have your square piece of paper, what you're going to do is decide which side is your outside. So I'm going to use the pink polka dots as my outside versus the white back. And you're going to fold this into thirds. So I'm going to take this and fold it into thirds. Okay. Once you fold that into thirds, you'll have this little, it's a 1/3 of the sheet, and it's be kind of like this little tube. Okay, so I can peek through it. Okay, so you fold this into thirds, then you want to make the head. So this is a little body, then you want to make the head. I'm going to take my flap and I'm going to put that towards the back. So when I fold my head forward, okay, and I would take like an inch or two, depending on how big you want the head. Okay, so I folded that down on the flat side. There's no, the flap is towards the back. Okay, so there's my little flap. If you want to, at this point, you could tape the flap down, but I don't really find it necessary, so I'm not going to use tape on mine today. Okay, so you have your tube, you put the flap towards the back, and then you fold, right, and make that head. Okay, from here you want to decide if you're making an animal with little floppy ears, or if you're going to make a human. Okay, that's kind of what they call it. If you're making an animal, you're going to take the top. So this would be like a dog. Maybe this one would be a pig. A pig would be cute. Hugh, for the longest time, thought that pig said pig. He wouldn't say like actual animal names. He would only say their sounds. So it'd be like, Hugh, say cow, and he would go, moo. And then we'd say, Hugh, say pig, and he would say pig. So, you know, whatever. He says the names of the animals now, but for a while he didn't. Okay, I did this blindly, so my ears are a little lopsided, but that's okay. The other thing you can do, you can leave the head square at the bottom like that, or you can tuck in the bottom corners to give it a little bit more of a rounded shape. So for Miss Piggy here, I think I would do that. Okay, so you can kind of see that's a pig shape. And then after that, you decorate the face or the body. So let me give my, I'm a huge fan of Papermate Flare pens. I used them a lot when I was teaching. They come in 1 million colors, and it was always like Christmas when you got yourself a new pack of Flare pens. So all my teacher friends out there, I'm sure you know what I mean. Okay, so my little pig has 2 little eyes here. I'm gonna do a circle snout, boop, boop, and a little smile. And then I'm gonna give her some arms here. Okay, and then maybe on the back I would do a curly little tail. So, there you go, there's my little pig finger puppet with the curly tail. Okay, so that's one way to do it, right, with the ears. If you're looking to do more of a human character, again, I'm gonna fold. Everything is the same up to the little folding on the head. So I'm gonna fold in thirds my square. Okay, flap is towards the back. I'm gonna fold the head forward. Okay, so I'm at this step. Okay, head is forward, flap is towards the back. This time I'm gonna do more of a circular shape for the head, more of a human. So I'm gonna fold my ears that I folded forward for the animal, I'm gonna fold those back. So the top corners are gonna go back. Okay, and then you think fold back and fold up. So the bottom here, I'm gonna fold these guys up. Just like I did with the pig at the end. And you wanna get good creases so they stay. Okay, so you can see this has more of a rounded shape. I'm gonna make her a little girl because I already have like my man in pajamas here. So I'm gonna give her some cute eyebrows, some fun eyes, a little nose, a smile, and then maybe I'll give her green hair for some fun. Now you could cut out other paper if you wanted to and like add. You know, maybe I would cut out a little bow and put it on top of her head. And then, for a dress, this one I always like trying to figure out, you know, where their neck is or where their shoulders are. So I'm gonna just give her a cute little collar here. And maybe just some buttons. Buttons are easy. There we go. You guys get as creative as you want, and I'd love to see your puppets. Okay, so we can see I use the same paper for my little girl. There she is, hello. And my pig. Okay, and then here again are my examples. This guy, Mr. Dude in his maybe pajamas, and then, ooh, a little puppy or cat from before, okay? So that's our first one, our origami finger puppet. Really easy to fold, great step-by-step. You know, you can do it with your kids, and then again, maybe there's a song, maybe that's a farmer in the dell or something like that, and you could have each of the characters, you know, make a set for each of your family members and sing it along together. That could be fun, okay? So that's our first project today. Our second project that we're gonna work on is a little mouse finger puppet, but it's finger puppet in a different way. The fingers are actually going to be part of the mouse's body. So for this one, what you wanna do first is cut out 6 circles. You're going to need a circle for the body. This will be your biggest circle. A circle a little bit smaller for the head, okay? So 2 circles that are larger. Then you're gonna want 2 circles for the ears. Again, we're making a mouse. So we'll have 2 circles that are smaller. I'll show you a comparison to the head. Head, ear, right? And then I also did 2 pink circles for the insides of the ears. So when we make the ear, you can see, I'm gonna put it like that. So we have the inner ear and outer ear, okay? The other thing that I cut out of paper were little tiny strips. You'll see here. I'm going to use for whiskers. That might be easier to see, okay? So I cut out 6 of those, 6 whiskers, so I'll do 3 on one side and 3 on the other. Alrighty, so after you cut out your circles, I think the hardest part of this project is putting the leg holes, or the finger holes, I should say, for the legs of the mouse in the body. So you can see here, my holes are not great, but they're the best that I could do this morning. I used a hole punch to get started. So I drew where I wanted my circles to go. And then I only have a rectangular hole punch. You can see the blue there. So that's the shape that I have, but I punched out as much as I could in that circle. Then I took a smaller scissors that I found, and then I kind of cut out. So if you imagine with me, I'm gonna use my smallest fingers because again, okay, so this is like the little feet of the mouse. That's weird. Let me try again. Uh-oh, we're getting stuck here. Okay, so if you can imagine, right, you have to make the holes big enough, obviously. I just gave up because I was getting frustrated. That's the most frustrating part of this project, is cutting out the finger holes. Now, you might be really cool and have a circle punch that's larger for like scrapbooking when you make polka dots and things like that. If you have that, use that. That'll be a lot easier. But you can imagine with me now, right? These are the little legs for the mouse, okay? The next thing that we want to do is start assembling our mouse. So again, we cut out our circles, we cut out our leg holes. Then we're going to assemble. So I'm going to work on the head first. I'm going to take that medium size circle, so it's a little bit smaller than my body, and I'm going to grab my ears and my glue stick and glue them together. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue the inner ears to the outer ears. I'm going to do that really quick here. Now these will also go well with our flower paintings that we did last week. Again, we talked about making a scene. So I tried to pick puppet characters that would go well in like a garden or an outdoor atmosphere. So again, watch that painting video from last week about flowers. Make yourself a little garden backdrop, and then if you wanted to do a little play, you could. He was getting to the age where he's finally doing like imagination plays, so that's been really fun. That's what I think inspired this lesson. Okay, so when I glued my ears in, I tried my best to pull them down. Okay, so there is more behind. You can see where I'm going to attach these to the head, and then you see more of a green ear at the top, right? Trying to make that a little bit more realistic. Now, when we're getting ready to glue our ears to the head, we want to put the ears behind the head. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that, like this, okay? I'm using a thicker scrapbooking paper for this. Again, I was really into scrapbooking in like early college. I have not done much with it since then, so I have a bunch of supplies that are just hanging out in my basement that I'm glad that I'm getting to use now. Okay, I'm going to tuck that ear right behind the head. Okay, make sure they're even as best as we can. Okay, there you go, the ears are attached. The next thing I'm going to do is work on the whiskers and the nose placement. So I'm going to draw a nose. I'm going to do a triangle for the nose. So, and I'm using my black flare. This would be fine with any kind of black marker, or if you wanted to use like a Sharpie, you could use crayons or colored pencils too. Whatever you have is great. You could also cut out black circle, or a black triangle, I mean, for the nose too. Okay, and again, I'm going to take my whiskers, so there's my little triangle nose, and I'm going to glue them, you know, scattered apart on each side. There's one. Keeping the part towards the nose closer together, and then fanning the edges out. Okay, so you can see I did one side here. Okay, and then I'll quickly do the other side. Haven't worked with glue in a while. My fingers are getting sticky. So I'm like gluing onto my finger. This is probably not best practice. I would say have a scrap piece of paper, glue, peel, and then stick. Especially if you have youngins doing this with you this morning. I'm going to try to match those. Okay. So there you go. You can see my whiskers. Okay, now if you have Google eyes, I think those would look the best. I don't have any more Google eyes on me, so I'm just going to draw some eyes on. You could cut them out of paper. Really your choice for this one. Make sure you give them, you know, eyeballs here. Okay, mine's going to be looking at his nose. Some little eyebrows. Okay. And then maybe I'll give him a little smirk, like this. Okay, so once you have your face decorated, everything is glued on, you're going to attach your head to your body. I'm gonna just put a little glue on my body. The head is gonna go on top. Okay, so make sure you know for your body which side is the front. Make sure you're paying attention to where you cut out the leg holes, okay? You don't want the legs like sticking out to the side. Great, and there we go. And then again, I need to make my holes a little bit bigger here, but I'm gonna try. See how stuck I get. There we go. There's little mouse puppet. Okay, so this is really fun. This is easy. Couple circles. You could add some details. You could cut out a tail and add that on. That would be really cute too. Okay, so this is our second finger puppet. Okay, because you're using your fingers as the legs. You might even be able to do some armholes too if you wanted, and do 2 fingers in for the legs and 2 fingers for the hands. Okay, so just think about all the fun you can have, Mr. Man, right, and Mr. Mouse. Puppet play. I love it. I'm a theater person, so puppet play is where it's at. Okay, our final project today is our dog marionette. This one is a little complicated, but we're gonna try our best here. The first things you're gonna wanna do for this, okay, so this one might be hard to do along with me, is you're going to want to paint your toilet paper rolls. Now, a couple tips for painting your toilet paper rolls. If you have a white paint or a black or more of a neutral color at home, I highly suggest doing 2 coats of paint. The first one I did for this was white, okay? And that kind of sucks into the toilet paper roll. It gives it a base, kind of like if you're priming a wall. We just painted all the paneling in our basement and it just sucked it up right away. So it gives it a nice base coat, and then do your color. I picked blue because it's fun, but the blue is definitely brighter since I did a white base first. So that's my little suggestion. You know, give it 10-15 minutes between the 2 to dry. But again, white first, and then, or black if you're doing a darker color, and then the color on top of that. Black might be hard. I would suggest white or gray. Okay, cool. So you're gonna paint 2 toilet paper rolls. Okay, next up, after you have your toilet paper rolls painted, we're gonna create the head. So I went ahead and I cut already my next part of this project. So you're gonna take 1 toilet paper roll and cut it in half. What I did, because I know my ears are going to be separate like this, is I cut down the middle first, halfway, and then I cut around. It makes it a lot easier than trying to like cut like this. Do you understand? So cut into the middle and then cut around. That's totally good for the ear section. Okay, so after you cut your tube in half, you're gonna have 1 circle that's kind of like this. You're gonna wanna unwrap that as best as you can and then cut out kind of a figure 8 shape. So it's skinnier here in the middle, and then the edges are rounded, so it looks a little bit like an 8. You can see how these are going to be the ears, okay? The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to glue the ears to the head. I need to plug my hot glue gun in for a hot second. And make the face of the dog. Now again, Google Eyes would probably look the best on this. I don't have any Google Eyes with me though, but we are going to glue the ears on top of this dog. Okay. So while my hot glue gun's heating up, I'm going to indent a little bit in the middle here. Okay. And that's going to help push the ears up so they stand up a little bit more. So I'm going to glue this right on the top. Okay, while I'm waiting for my glue gun, I want to make sure that my favorite part is up top too. Okay, I have this little face, so I'm going to draw on my eyes today with a marker or a pen. Oopsie. Here we go. So I'm going to draw on my eyes. And this is fun. You can make it, you know, you can decide if the dog is a boy dog, if the dog is a girl dog. I'm going to give her some eyelashes, right? And you can get creative. A great way to do that is by adding, you know, little bows here or there, make it cute, make a whole family of dogs, you know, whatever floats your boat. So again, those ears, I took this, I'll show you a little bit too. You can see how I indented it like this. Kind of pushed it in because that's going to help the ears pop up. We'll see. Okay, we'll glue that in a second. I'm going to move on to the next step since that is taking just a little bit of time. Okay, what you're going to want to do next is cut some yarn to different lengths. You're going to need 3 pieces of yarn for this project. Okay, you're going to want 2 about 6 inches long. So I'm using orange yarn today because I love the color orange. So I have 2, these are going to be for the dog's legs. And then you're going to want one that's about 2 feet long, 24 inches long. And that's going to be for stringing the puppet together. The other thing that when we're waiting for the hot glue gun to do its thing, warm up, you can make the handle for the marionette as well. So you can see I have 2 popsicle sticks here. I just put a little glue in there and held it together. I have different colors here. You could do, you know, different colors. You're gonna really make it though even. Some people would call this an X, some people would call it a cross. Whatever floats your boat, we're just going to hot glue it together. You can do 2 colors, you can do the same color. It's really your preference, okay? So while you're using the hot glue gun, hot glue that on, and then we'll see here if it's ready. I'm gonna put a little dot, there we go. Okay, then I'm gonna glue my ears on top. And just hold it there. Again, if you're doing this with littles, make sure you're helping them with this step. Please, please, please. Okay, so there, I've got my little ears on my dog. Okay, great. Okay, our next step, we're gonna take our body tube and we're gonna punch out some leg holes. Now again, I only have a square punch. I need to get a circle punch, so my leg holes might not be the prettiest. That's okay, we're gonna roll with it, it's what I got. So I'm gonna do 2 holes towards the back. Okay, you can see there. And then I'm gonna try to make them even in the front. 2 holes in the front. Come on, little guy. I think I have this, I don't know if I told this story already, sorry if I'm repeating myself. This is from my wedding. Tom and I made little to-go favors. So I punched out a heart and I made a spelling error on our save the date cards, so then I had to get them reprinted because I just couldn't handle spelling error. Anyway, so then I used the pictures from that to hole punch, and then we had these little favors to go for our wedding when we got married. So that was fun. Okay, anyway, we're going to fish this 6-inch, right? So one of the shorter ones for the leg. We're gonna fish this through our holes at the back or the front. Either side is fine to start with. Again, this might be tricky because my holes aren't very big. Okay, there we go. One side and then the other side. And I'm going in from the middle so I don't have to tie it on anywhere. And then I can pull them so they're even. Okay. Now these feel just a little bit long to me, so I might cut them. Okay, this is my string was a little bit longer than 6 inches. So I'm gonna cut just because I don't want the legs to be too long. Okay, and I'm gonna do that at the top, at the front as well. If this is hard and your yarn is falling apart, things like that, you might want to just try by cutting a fresh end, or try that tape trick we talked about a couple weeks ago where you tape the end and then use that more of a needle. If you have a crochet needle that you want to use, or a knitting needle, well, knitting needle is what you knit with, but crochet needle to like thread the yarn through, that might be helpful too. Okay, and then I'm going to eyeball this and try to make the legs the same length, front and back. Okay, there we go. So now you see we have the dog's little legs. The next fun part is making their actual legs, and I'm going to use straws. So I have straws at home. We're trying to get through them to only use reusable straws, things like that, because it's better for the environment. We know that now. We probably knew that back then, but we weren't thinking about it. So I cut one, you can see here. You want to keep the bendy part if you have bendy straws. You want to keep that intact, and then I'm just going to cut 3 more so I have them the same length. That's 1. That's 2. Final 1. Ooh, those are fun. Okay, so now I have my 4 legs, okay? When you thread this through, you want the longer part, okay, so I have a longer part that's above, it's kind of hard to see, a longer part that's above the crinkly part or the bendy part, and then a shorter part at the bottom. So this is the leg, and this is the dog's foot, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna take my yarn, I'm gonna string my straw on, okay, all the way through. I'm kind of twisting as I go. There it is. Then I want to knot, so like either single or double knot at the bottom, depending how big your straw is. You could also use a little hot glue if you're still working with that, to make it so it won't come off the straw. My fingers aren't working this morning. There we go, there's 1. I'm gonna double knot because I was practicing this yesterday and my straws just slid right off. Just gonna make a double knot there and hopefully they stay. Nope. Uh-oh, get back on there. This is a great, though, skill for like manipulation for kids. I'm trying to think of what the actual term is. Oh boy, my yarn is stuck. See guys, this can happen. There we go. Okay, let's try another knot. So maybe leave your yarn a little bit longer so you can get your knots in. Struggle. Just gonna do a couple. I'm just gonna keep knotting until I feel like it's big enough for the straw. Otherwise, my hot glue gun is still at the ready. Okay, now I have a big old knot at the bottom. There we go. Okay, so here, you can see that I have it strung on. The shorter part is at the bottom and the larger top part is at the top. Okay, from here, I'm gonna take my little bendy straw and bend it, and now you can really see the leg. Okay, it's got a little foot and a toe. Well, you know, maybe the dog has nail polish on. We don't know, make up a story, have fun with it. Okay, so then I'm going to do that to all of my legs. I'm not going to sit here and demonstrate that all for you. I'll show you my finished product when I'm finished. Okay, the next step that we have is connecting the handle. So we're going to want to hole punch a couple places. You're going to want a punch in the front, I would suggest between the legs, and then in the back between the legs, okay? And those will go on the top of the body. So our legs are on the bottom, 2 more holes on the top. We'll start with that first. Okay, there's 1, and here is 2. Okay, so I'll show you those. Then you're going to, this is the trickiest part because of how you want it to lay. I'm going to try to see if I can get my dog's head to lean forward. You're going to do 2 holes in the head of the dog as well. Okay. So that one's further back. This one might be the hardest hole to make because you're going through a couple. Oh, come on. And I might be going through the glue here too. Uh-oh. And I'm stuck. See, we all have our struggles. Oh no, it's just because it's really thick. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right, and I have a hole. My head is falling off a little bit though, so I might need to re-glue. Oh, of course, I punched it right through the glue. Smart, smart, smart. I'm gonna just put a little glue towards the back. See, trial and error, it happens to the best of us. And reattach that, lining up my hole as well. There we go. Again, if you have a circle punch, this is gonna be a lot easier. Okay. Again, if you're using hot glue, please be careful. So you can see I have a hole that goes all the way through. I put my bottom hole towards the back of the neck a little bit and my top hole towards more in towards the front. So then when it does hang, it'll give a little tilt. All right, the fun part, stringing it all together. So I'm going to take my long string and I'm going to go again through the middle. And I'm going to thread it through both, from the inside, both the body holes here. So through the front one and through the back one. Okay, and pull those tight. I think you can start seeing where I'm going with this. The next I'm going to do is attach, put the head on. Now this you might want to pre-tie a couple knots where you want the head to sit. So I'm going to put a knot in to decide where like the neck, how long the neck should be. And again, I've learned that I need to put a couple more knots in than what I anticipated at the beginning. So I'm going to maybe tie 3 or 4 knots there on top of each other so it gets to be nice and big. So hopefully my head won't slide all the way down towards the body. Again, this one's a little bit more of a complicated project, but it's a lot of fun. You can also adjust the neck. Let's say you tie your knot and it's really long and you don't like it. You can pull through the butt of the dog and then decide from there. Okay, I'm going to string through the bottom. So again, I'm working on the front part of the dog. String through the bottom hole here of the head. I have a knot tied in the top to keep my yarn together. I'm going to get rid of that. String here. Good. Okay, and then string through the top. This is probably going to be the hardest one. Sometimes I lick the yarn, I don't know if any of you do that, to help it go through. If you're finding you're having troubles like I might be, it might be a good idea to just tape the ears in place at first. And then once you get the yarn through, glue it together. That's what I would suggest now after doing this live with you guys. Maybe I can get it through one hole first. There we go. And then through the ear hole here. Come on, little doggy. Oh, ears popped off. That's okay. Okay, so now that I have that through, I'm going to just reattach my ears really quick. 3rd time's a charm, right guys? Just don't want to get my yarn caught in it, so I can adjust the yarn to the length that I want it. There we go. I think that's the best part of these videos. You can kind of problem solve it as you go. Okay, so I have my little head attached. It's sitting on my neck knot. Okay, and then we have this. All right, so the last part is to attach the strings to the handle that we made at the beginning. So I'm going to wrap these around, and again, it's one of the reasons why we're not like gluing or tying knots so much in the body string or the really long string until maybe you want to maybe do that at the end, so you can adjust how long the string is in different parts. So I'm going to tie this on here. The first musical I ever did was Sound of Music, and I was Gretel, and that was at the Sheboygan Theater Company back in 1997, so that was almost 23 years ago. And whenever I see a marionette, like that makes me think of that scene in the bedroom where they're doing the little puppet play. High on a hill was a lonely goat herd. I'm not going to yodel. That's not in the books for today, but it's one of my favorite scenes from the movie. It was one of my favorite scenes when we did it at SCC. So support your local theaters too. Okay, so I've tied it on. Look at that. You can imagine, right, what it'll look like once I have all the little legs on. And again, you can make adjustments once it's together, you know what I mean? You can kind of play like this, okay? And again, I just wrapped the string around the top and then knotted it, just tied it. So that way too, if you notice like it's lopsided, right, the butt is up a little bit here. I'm gonna adjust that. Okay, and once you get it there, if you want to, you can always put like a little hot glue here to keep the head kind of in place. You know, adjust the legs, maybe hot glue the middle once you get that centered, or just leave it free. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun to adjust. So, okay, so that's our little dog marionette. So today we did our finger puppet, right? I'll show the pig I think is my favorite. All right, little finger puppet here, our mouse puppet with finger holes for legs, and our puppy marionette. Get creative, you know what I mean? You don't have to stick with a mouse. You can make any sort of animal, like with our finger puppets too. I'd love to see what people come up with. I'm sure this week I will be trying to create a lion for Hugh, because he just really loves them, and tigers. I promise you he didn't watch The Tiger King, but tigers are his favorite animal right now. Yeah, so if you have any questions, leave them in a comment. Again, check out those great programs that I mentioned at the beginning. Bookworm, our library systems have great programs coming up. Mary Starnicki and her daily doodles are so fun. And again, our wreath class, June 3rd, summer camp starting in July, choreography camp, lots of opportunities that'll either be in person if we're allowed, or virtual if that's where we have to go. We miss you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be well and enjoy the sunny day. Thanks everyone. See you next week.